Alright, in this video we're going to take a look at kind of one of your submissions for the first week and kind of taking an Automoblox component. In this case we're going to look at the T9 body. So here I've got a T9 body actually. So and I printed off an answer sheet from the courses, and here we can kind of check and modify. You were to model one of these as part of this prerequisite training. And what we're going to kind of do is just verify some of the measurements and make changes if we need to. And then in the next video, we'll look at how to change those in Autodesk Inventor, so after you've already modeled and made this part. But for right now, as far as to check this and to kind of look at measurements, so I'm going to go ahead and use my caliper. So some of the placements, so they're showing you using dimension lines and extension lines, how we should be measuring these parts. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this overall width of the part here. So here on my caliper I'm seeing about 3 inches, so 3.2, and then I'm a little bit past 8 on this case. So here I got 3.20, actually I'm close to 9 but not really. So 3.208. And then for my extra check digit, or my extra kind of significant digit to indicate the uncertainty of the measurement, I may throw in a 9 in there. So since I'm pretty close to 9. So as far as my reading goes, as I look at this, my overall width, 3.208.9. So if I'm going down to the 10,000th of an inch, so if I was to actually read this to the 1,000th of an inch, which is typically the level of precision these calipers can handle, I would record this, since I'm not to 9, I would record this as 3.208, or 3 and 208 thousandths of an inch. So a lot of times in the terminology, I try to get my students to be saying, you know, at first I'll say it with 3.2 just to get them used to it, and then after a while I get them trying to, after they kind of get the hang of reading this, I want them to say it just like how we said there. So 3 and 208 thousandths of an inch. And so as we take a look through the document here, some of the other things, so these are going to be pretty standard outside measurements. As far as the depth of the hole, one of the things on these Automoblox parts is you're not going to be able to pull these plastic inserts out of here. So here's the passenger section, so they're going to have you, and they don't have that plastic insert being considered. So I always try to, if you can, get down to the wood in the bottom between the shapes, and then kind of get a measurement along the side here on the reference edge, and then try to get that measurement. So here I'm getting about 1.1, about the same kind of measurement. I'm a 0.85. I'm hitting right about in the middle between two of the graduations inside the dial. So that would kind of be my measurement there. So a lot of cases, a lot of teachers will say if it's past 0, you round up to 5, and if it's on the measurement, you'll go ahead and keep it at 0. I know a lot of science teachers do this, and I would really encourage you to think about whatever way that you want to teach your students and how you were taught. So in your training, use it to your advantage. Alright, so the top view here, as far as what we have, here these are just going to be kind of very simple kind of inside measurements. So I would go ahead and utilize your caliper this way. So to look at this, you can get an outside measurement measuring the thickness, and then that's going to be pretty much it. As far as scrolling down here to the bottom part of this, here are these openings. So I will tell you, the openings on this side and this side, they do look like repeats of each other, but they're actually different. One will have the 2-block socket in there, and one will have the 1-block socket on the other side. So kind of making sure, and your students will get confused with this, so kind of, you know, walk them through that, you know, this is not just a copy of each other. We're actually on 2 different holes, and they are slightly different from each other as you do that. As far as the width of this, I usually like to use the inside, and you can usually catch a little bit of an edge inside of the wood. So I try to measure this without the without considering the insert, and then I open it up to the outside edge and then get my measurement. So here I'm getting about 2.4, and as I take a look at my dial, I'm pretty close to 807, and I'll put 9 in there. So inches, and that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as these kinds of components. So make sure that you are getting, you know, some of these measurements. So, and again, you don't want to pull these out, because this will damage your Automoblox and you're not going to be able to get these back in. So these are glued in, and trying to pull these out is not going to be a good scenario. Alright, the last thing I will, to end out this video, that I will cover is going to deal with the estimated fillet radius and estimated round radius. So in terms of what they're talking about, is students will get really confused by this. They need to measure the points of tangency. So the points of tangency are, so as this comes out of the curve, where does it start to become a straight line? So I'll use a pencil to kind of mark here. So here's my curve, and then as it comes up, and then I start to get into the straight line right about here. And then the same thing as I go down along the curve and it starts to become a straight line, I'm going to go ahead and measure, and I'm going to go ahead and mark these 2 points. So usually what they want us to do, this is really not, the caliper's really not made for measuring this so much. That's why they have an estimated fillet radius and a round radius. So this is the round, since it's on the exterior face. And then I'm going to go ahead and measure this. So here I'm about 0.3505. So I would probably say. And then on my estimated, or actually I had those flipped. So on my fillet radius, so same kind of scenario here. I won't mark these, but as far as where those points of tangency are, so I'm probably going to be at about 0.215, and I'm right on the mark, so I'll put 0 in there as far as that one. And that will end up showing you, so the fillet radius is the inside kind of rounded edge, and the round is the exterior rounded face on your part. So there's just a few things there just to kind of keep in mind as far as making the linear measurements with the Automoblox component. So now you will end up filling out the rest of this to take your measurements, and in the next video we'll take a look at how to create and not really so much create, but edit your measurement that you guys had from making this part in prerequisite training.